So, welcome to this special event where I wanted to make it more conversational. So, the idea of this interaction is there are so much content available in the world about entrepreneurship, but still, why there is a challenge when people want to start a startup? Why is there such a challenge that why still people struggle? Can we create a framework? I don't want to call it as a master class or interactions, but I want to call it as a core framework. Can we create some bullet points? And we will do this in multiple sessions, and this will be, hopefully people will find some interesting dimensions when they are starting their startup. That's the overall idea. Okay, so that's, and this we are doing it for Wadhwani Foundation. And so I'll give you some context that how this came into the picture. So recently when I was there in the alumni meet, some of you met me and you were asking me a lot of questions about entrepreneurship. And since it was an alumni meet, we could not engage much. Then I thought this is a good context. Why don't we bring all of you together and we will have some questions and we will try and answer this and try to create a structure around it. And also we are doing this for Wadhwani Foundation. I was honored to be working with them for many years. And when I started, at that time also NEN was a big help to me because we were all startups, nobody knew us. They took us to places. I went to IIM Calcutta only because of NEN. I became a speaker, through that many people came to know, and that is how your business can grow. So I'm always obliged to Wadhwani Foundation for helping a startup in their early stages, and for last many years I'm working with them in many capacity. I've taken some sessions for them as well. So that's what today's idea is. And I'll also give you a quick background about what Wadhwani Foundation is trying to do. So the whole job ecosystem is what Vadwani Foundation is trying to create or influence. So you need entrepreneurs who can take up the new opportunity and form a company around it. And you also need skilled people who can come and start working together so that that idea can actually get executed in the market. And around that you have government, research organizations, how everything can be facilitated so that more jobs can be created and more jobs can be done perfectly. And this completely aligns with me and TechShu and INT, is that we believe that good professionals and good companies create good society. It's never possible only for government to say this is how you should run it, this is there. But if good companies and good professional comes up, all of us benefit. So that's the overall idea. And thank you so much for coming. And hopefully in the next few hours that we are spending together, it will be beneficial for all of you. Plus also everyone who is listening to us, it will be beneficial. Okay. So we'll quick start with a quick introduction that what you do. And all of you are from Army Institute of Management. And I am your alumni senior, so I could force them to come. I don't know whether you're bunking the class today or not.
No, sir, no class today.
No class today, so that's good. But bunking is also sometimes good. So that they are from Army Institute of Management. So over to you.
My name is Kalyana Manoj Naidu. I'm from first year of MBA, and my startup idea, our aim is to transform the veteran ecosystem and providing them with high-paying jobs and entrepreneurship boot camps. It's just that the opportunity which we were able to find in that the Agniveer scheme would allow more veterans to come into the market, and if we are able to train them with better certifications, better internship opportunities, so we'll provide them with good paying jobs and also the entrepreneurship opportunity. So that is my idea, my aim.
My name is Nisha. I'm from junior batch of MBA. The idea that I'm working upon is based on nutrition market. As of now, like there are lots of junk in the market, so we are trying to combine the snack and the nutrition together.
My name is Shri Gupta, and my entrepreneurship idea is to target the pet industry. So the company's name is Furry Friends, and I am trying to solve some problems of the pet parents.
So my name is Hemant and I'm from MBA second year, and my sector is supply chain management. And we both realized, my friend and I realized, that in the during the COVID era, the supply chain was the one of the sector which was got affected, and the company started working towards the beneficiary of, like, they can benefit more towards the supply chain. So we started developing our idea towards the supply chain management, and we hope that we revolutionize the sector and we can help the kirana stores and others people.
Fantastic. And first of all, congratulations that you are doing something. You are trying to do something, you are taking some initiative. There is nothing called good idea, good startup, bad startup. It's about you trying to do, you are learning it. So that's a good starting point. And in today's discussion, we will also try and see the whole initiative that we are trying to take is starting is easy. Running a startup is also easy. But is there a better way to start up? Okay, so I'll also give you some context. So when we started, the access to information was very limited. We did not had enough information available in the market. So we had to start in whatever format we can start and then keep learning. But today the information is available in the market, so people can start differently. So why not utilize what is available in the market? Why reinvent what is already being done? So can we learn from other people? But entrepreneurship is about exception. So you can always start and learn and etc. But we'll try to create a framework so that people can start better. So the initiative that we are doing is, instead of starting, start right initiative. So is there a better way of starting? Okay, so when we say right, that means better from what we are doing. So that's the overall idea of getting into startup. So the first thing what we are going to divide is, there are some core guidelines which if we know, that will help. And the second is there are some skills which if you learn, that will also benefit as an entrepreneur, which is not about your hard skill, technical skills, people management skills and etc. But it is about something which is kind of overarching skills, which is helping all the other skills to enhance. That's what we are calling it as skill of skills. And then we'll get into the core concepts of entrepreneurship, and not only living at a surface level, but making it more practical. And what gives me this credibility to take up this session is that I am more of a go-to-market person. So I am the last mile delivery person. So a lot of startups, a lot of established companies, startups within the established companies, new ideas, they all come to us and then they ask us to take their idea or their existing company or products to the market. And when we try to take it, some of them succeed, some of them fail. But we are the last mile guys. But there are a lot of things that needs to be done before that. If those things are done well, you will get massive success. If those things are not done well, it is lifting a mountain, which is very difficult, and thus failure can be attributed to anyone. But we want to reduce that failure because it is a burning problem for everybody in that whole chain if it is not successful. So we want to stop as much as possible or make it better as much as possible. That's the idea. So we'll start with some of the core guidelines. And in the core guidelines, the first guideline is listen to everyone, but do your own. Because there is no single idea, formula, concept which is universally true all the time. It may be true in one phase, it may not be true in the second phase. So listen to everyone, understand the concept, but don't blindly follow. Like if somebody says don't hire from MBA colleges, don't follow it. Somebody says only hire from MBA colleges, don't follow it. But try and understand why they are saying what they are saying. Okay, I'll give you a context. If you look at the biggest regrets of founders or CEOs, you will hear some of the regrets in both the spectrum. So somebody will say, I have this regret that why I did not hire senior people in the starting. Somebody has a regret why I hired senior people in the starting. So that is why they had a different context. These people have a different context. So you need to understand both, and in your scenario, what will apply, you have to apply. So I always say that create your own canvas, learn from everybody, but do not ever follow anybody blindly. Like some people say, suno sabki, karo apni. So listen to everyone, but do your own, because you are responsible for your own success and failure. So do not blame on others, but try and learn from everyone and make your own decision. So that is one. So whatever we are saying in this discussion also, some of the points might have contrary view. So this is just a dimension. That's a point number one. And why everything is right and wrong is only because of dimensions. So from one dimension, this is right. From another dimension, this is wrong. Now look at the health. In health also, there will be one person saying, oh, you should eat these things and this will reduce your weight, which is correct. But when a dentist is looking at it and saying that don't eat this will be bad for your teeth. Okay, somebody looking at from an immunity perspective will say, oh, don't do this will be bad for immunity. So this is good from health, weight loss perspective, but this is not good from the other perspective. So unless you get all the dimensions correct, sometimes the decisions are not correct. So you do good one and it can be. And then there is also short term and long term. So what is good for short term may not be good for long term. So these are all complexities of decision. And we live our life in a two-dimensional way, or we make decisions in a two-dimensional way. But decisions have multiple dimensions. That becomes even more complex, that how do I make a decisions when there are multiple dimensions combined into this. So that is why sometimes everything is right and everything is wrong. So you have to make your own decision in your context whether this is right or whether this is wrong. Okay, are we going okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the idea is to give more perspective and then we'll take it. Okay, then the next is about the core part of it, whatever we learn. Okay, so since Elon Musk is in the news, everyone is talking about Elon Musk. Elon Musk has put a very beautiful statement that we all get learning wrong. So learning is all about putting the big structure or the trunk and the big branches first, then adding the small branches and leaves to it. So always think in a semantic tree. So unless your structure is clear, unless your skeleton is clear, you can't add muscles to it. So the core structure is what we need to continue to work on. So today we are going to talk more about the core structure that we are going to cover. And this is some of the core guideline. And other guideline is sometimes we are too focused on excelling and we forget that we can excel only if we survive. Survive first, excel second. But that also has the other perspective. If you keep surviving and don't excel, that is also bad. But the time you are surviving, try to focus on excelling as well. So you need to excel and survive, but survive first, excel second. Because there are many people who will invest into excelling, and the lifeline, which is the money that needs to come in, the people had satisfaction, all of those things that needs to be taken care of, that is not taken care of. The company is fantastic, the people are fantastic, but they focus on excel and they forget to survive, and the beautiful company which could have been created out of it dies. So try to survive first. Anytime when you want to make decision, see whether you are surviving. If not, do anything and everything to survive, and then focus on excelling. Focus should be excelling, not surviving, but survival first and excelling second. Okay, then what you have is balancing is a important aspect of it as well. So what I mean by balancing is everything that you say, that if I say a sentence that you should be confident, but if you become a little more confident, it becomes overconfident. If you become less confident, it becomes you are too humble and you are not having that attitude to win. So everything is good in balance. So I keep asking people that is rain good or bad? Rain is good if it is in the right quantity. If it is less, you will have drought. If it is high, you will have flood. So rain in itself is not a problem. The quantity of the rain is bad. So that's why the balancing. I'll give you a business context. The business context is there are people like Steve Jobs who will say, don't ask customers, because customers don't know what they want. You make your product, you show it to them, then they will understand what is required in their life. But you will also have the other part of it, which will say that customers are not morons. They are your wife, or a customer is your wife. They will know better than you. So you always ask customer, do what customer need. Follow your customer home. So both the philosophy exist. So will you be following a philosophy like Steve Jobs, or will you be following a philosophy of Intuit, like follow your customer home, understand what customer does? So the right balance is important. So you should do both and take strong decisions based on what is right for you. So that's also another context, because in all of this discussion, many of these things will come across as a strong opinion, but the strong opinion can also have the other side, and one need to keep on balancing. Okay, yeah. And the last thing that I would like to take this in the overall principle is, or overall guideline is, nobody can teach us. nobody can teach you. It is only that you can learn. So unless you have that hunger, you will never learn. So the whole concept of teacher coming into the class and teaching has been the traditional method. Whether we like the training or not, whether we like the teaching or not, we are forced to learn. But that does not work. In today's world, that does not work. So the first thing that each one of us need to do, and that's a beauty of entrepreneurship. So beauty of entrepreneurship is once the person becomes an entrepreneur, they want to do everything perfect. So they want to learn everything. So I've seen whether a person is doing a solopreneurship or a large company or a small company, they are interested in everything. How to make the tea better, how to serve the water better, how to welcome the people better, how to write the mail better, because they have the hunger. So they want to learn from everyone. And sometimes when you're not into that phase, you say, oh, this is not related to me, so I'm not going to learn. So teachers are everywhere, learning can happen from everywhere, but only this can happen when you are interested in that subject. So I keep saying that if you have a utensil and it is already full, other people are pushing more content into it, it will not work. So unless you are hungry and that utensil has the space, then only you will be able to fill it. So again, all this context is not to train everyone. It is a free flowing content. It's up to the people what they want to learn. So the same sentence mean two different things to two different people depending on what they are consuming. So that's an overall guideline that we are going to put. I don't know whether anyone wants to add anything to it, or we're good to go.
So I think this should be a master class because so much information which we could have learned from 1 year and 2 years of the MBA, you have just given us in the small introduction only. So this is a master class for me, sir.
Yeah, it may be a master class for you. I am still a student. I am still learning. But as I said, that if many people have added value to our life, we are going to add value to other people's life, and everyone should continue that. And some will find it very valuable, some will find it redundant. Absolutely okay, but we'll try and add value to as many people as possible. And I really appreciate those sentences. Yeah. So anything else anyone wants to add, or we can get started?
We can get started.
All right, perfect. So what we are going to do is, there are few skills that I want every entrepreneur to at least master. Okay, so the first skill, I'll combine three skills into one. I'm not talking about the hard skills or the soft skills. I'm talking about skill of skills, attitude of attitude kind of a thing. Okay, so one is the first principle thinking. Have you guys heard of first principle thinking? Now Elon Musk is in picture, so you will hear more from Elon Musk on the first principle thinking, because he has been a big advocate of first principle thinking, and you can see many of his videos as well. Have you heard this sentence quite often in the curriculum or otherwise, first principle thinking?
In the curriculum, we have not heard about the first principle thinking, but yes, usually we hear this statement in the social media, like where we see a podcast where people are talking about. So we have heard about it.
Perfect. Okay. So one is first principle thinking. I'll explain a little more. Again, related to that is problem solving. How to solve a problem. Okay. So solving a problem using some framework. So if that comes into a picture, that is also helpful. And then third is critical thinking. All three, if you combine together, then you will see many of your innovations will come from here. Because nobody will teach you how to solve those problems. This problem, solution you may not get even in the website. Okay. So for example, when we started, so I started in 2009. So when we started in the early days, we were into services, and the customer's money will never be consistent. In some month they will pay us on time, some month they are not paying us on time, and we will have salary issues. So in that salary issues, how do you solve that salary issues? And we had some, I think, 15, 20 odd people. So we created an Excel sheet and we asked people that this is your salary and on what date you need what percentage of your salary. And people were, very, we had a great connection inside the company. So people were very cooperative and they said, I am coming from a rich family. You pay me whenever you want to pay me. There were people who said, I have a full dependency. You need to pay me 100% of my money on the first of day. Some people will say that pay me 20% by 5th, and after that you can pay 80% in the next 10 days. So they took their problem and said, this is what I want from you. and we looked at it, and then we had salaries into 4 buckets, and that helped us. And even at that time, we had such a great satisfaction inside the company. It was like everybody working together, and we call it as a t-shirt test. So we printed our t-shirts, and we asked people to buy if they're interested in. So I think every person had purchased 2 to 3 t-shirts on an average, not from company's money. It's their own, because they all wanted to feel that part of that company that they are building together, kind of a thing. So that's the concept. So people will not tell you how to solve that problem. So understanding how to solve that problem and doing a first principle thinking. And what is the first principle thinking is, why do people need salaries? They need it to solve their problems. How can we give it? There are other dimensions to it, like their scores and etc. If they want to get a loan, so those will get impacted. But you had some struggle. How people came together and solved it by looking at a first principle thinking, that they wanted money on certain days. How can you do that? And that helped us. That helped us to survive, not excel, survive. So survive. Later we are excelling, and by the grace of God, we don't face that problems now. But in the initial days, many of the companies will face that. So that's what I call it as a first principle thinking, problem solving skills. And sometimes we feel that this is granted, I can solve that problem. But when you're having 3 or 4 problems coming to you, if you don't have a framework to solve the problem, you will always struggle on how do I solve the problem. But if you have a framework, it will become easier to solve. So one is, we will touch base on how to solve the problems better in that sense. The second is learning. Okay, so learning is a very critical thing. Why it is very critical is, when we all started, as I said, we did not have enough information available to us, but we had a very big advantage to us. And the advantage was, we could run a company for 2 years, 3 years and be small. It will still be okay, because on the 4th year, 5th year, we can survive and excel. But today, in 3 years, market might completely change. What value you were trying to create in the market has completely changed. So the time that you're spending to develop yourself, your whole market is changing very fast. So that's why your learning has to be much faster. You cannot learn in a typical old-fashioned way, that it is taking too much of time. So learning how to learn, don't take learning granted, that I will learn. But how do you learn is a very, very critical skill. Very few people teach you how to learn, because we teach you this subject, that subject, but how to learn any subject is a skill in itself. I don't know whether any of this thing has been ever taught in the classes or by any of the teachers, because everyone thinks it's very common, but it's not common when you're dealing with so many complexities in life. So I had many occasions where some new topics were thrown to me, said the market is changing into that direction, we need to learn. And you're running the company, you have family, you have multiple things in between that. How are you going to learn? When are you going to get the time? So that is a skill, learning. Okay, so we'll try and share the dimensions. None of this is shared as a master, but everything how we do it as a student, other people can benefit from it. Okay, and the third one is, in today's session we'll only cover these 3. Third one is knowing what to do and what not to do, is looking at all the tasks, and within the task, what is more important, what is less important, and taking it up. Because like in the previous discussion we were having, you said, when very highly qualified people, then they go to the industry, and then how do we take care of it and stuff like that. And because you have too many things to do, and that is your strength and weakness. People like us who comes from industry, we can do many things. We can do consulting, we can train somebody, we can do all of those things. But out of this, there are few which will give you maximum ROI. There are few which will give you maximum satisfaction, but very less ROI. And some will keep you busy, but it has no satisfaction or ROI. But how do you select the task, which is that 80-20 principle, and looking at that and taking a decision around it. Otherwise, there is a law of diminishing return also, that if you have reached 80% outcome for one dimension, and if you keep on working on it from 80 to 90, you might take double the time of 20 to or 0 to 80 kind of a journey. So that is also, these 3 are skill of skills. And maybe we will leave it somewhere here, or we will take each of this as a separate session altogether, and we'll come back to you. Okay, so these are, again, we have said core guidelines, and then we have this core skill set. Any are we going okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, fantastic. Okay, so we'll take this session separately, but let's get into the important part of it, that is entrepreneurship. That what is entrepreneurship and why entrepreneurship is important. Okay, so any comments that you guys want to add on why do you think entrepreneurship is important for society?
So nowadays we listen this term everywhere. Like most of the people, they try to flaunt this term like an I'm an entrepreneur, or I'm kind of trying to have a business and I'm building an entrepreneurship. So nowadays social media is full of these statements. But I think people don't realize that the background, the way the entrepreneur, the person who is really working towards it, how he is going through, what are the challenges he's facing through whether it's a financial condition or it's a family condition.
Right.
So nowadays, but earlier it was a very simple term when entrepreneurship was defined as the person who is trying to change the industry or trying to innovate something which will change something, which can give something a better way of technology, a better way of learning to the society. So a kind of a revolution which the person is trying to bring. For example, as you said, Steve Jobs.
Right.
So he was I think he's an entrepreneur who started a company from scratch. He built a product. He made a very different sectors where he was working in a way that it was revolution, trying to change the product completely.
Right.
And so for me, that was a entrepreneurship, or let's say entrepreneur person. But nowadays, it's a small person who is starting a small shop. He's also saying that I'm an entrepreneur. But there's a difference between a business run through the centuries, which was a small business or a big business, whether,
Right.
but a product being or technology which is being created or being developed by from the initial stage, that learning throughout the time period you are going through, or the prototypes you are developing.
Right.
So that is the sector which I say it's the real time entrepreneur.
Right. So yeah, I mean, anyone wants to add, you can also add. But in these, early days, startup was more like you being unemployed, and today startup is like you are some rock star trying to do something. But yeah, definitions will keep coming, keep going, and who is entrepreneur, who is not, and we don't live our life with definitions. But anyone who is trying to add value is fantastic. Whoever wants to call whatever does not matter. So we'll try and define it to more practical sense and etc. to the possible. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Sir, I feel like entrepreneurship is fun, and also it would be a waste of potential if someone is capable enough and have all the resources which they have, but then he's also solving a bigger problem and serving the society. So then that potential used for serving the society would be a better thing rather than doing a job. So and also entrepreneurship is fun.
So that's a very important point. That is living up to high potential. Okay, or he or she is working anywhere, whether they are employees, whether they are entrepreneur, wherever. But if they are living up to the highest potential, which is rewarding for them, rewarding for the company, rewarding for the society, is a fantastic way of increasing the productivity of everyone and having fun. So there is no fun in being less productive. There is no fun in being, utilizing less of my potential. So all of those things are very important, and I think entrepreneur gives you a different dimension when nobody else is able to realize your potential and reward it. You creating your own reward. Very fantastic way of looking at it. Yeah. Anything else anyone wants to?
So, sir, entrepreneurship adds value to the society for sure because it creates jobs. And in a country like India, there's always an increasing demand for jobs. So that's the best way we can add value to society. And of course, it will impact the economy in the long run. And other than that, of course, we can also see it in a way that entrepreneurs often transform the entire market, like disruptive technologies like Ola, Flipkart. These things have changed the way people are commuting and purchasing things online.
Right.
Market has changed entirely. So it is a very good way of development and of course job creation.
Fantastic.
They are creative. But this is something that gives chances to everyone to show their potential.
Right. Absolutely.
So this is something we cannot compete, but we can actually excel in that, and everyone can show their potential.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think this is a very important point that all of you have got into, is that each one of us have a certain potential, and sometimes when you're working in a certain environment, we are not able to get to the full potential. And I believe That's one dimension of it. That's why we put that core guideline. That's one dimension of it. But there are other dimensions also which you touch upon. That on the outside, entrepreneurship looks like a good thing for my, in developing my potential or utilizing the full potential. So I remember an image that I've seen in one of these newspapers, international newspaper somewhere, where a person is, on top of the lion, riding a lion, and everybody else from the outside is, shouting, "Bravo, bravo! What a strong person this is! They are riding a lion," and etc. And the person sitting on the lion is thinking, "How did I get here? Okay, and what am I doing on this lion? How do I get out of this?" Okay, so sometimes the picture is true from both the side. It's not easy. And I've written a post on LinkedIn some time back that if somebody would have told me entrepreneurship is so hard, I may not have started it. Thank God nobody told me at that time. So somehow I got started. But yeah, both the dimensions. But my perspective about entrepreneurship, as you said, some small startup or somebody who is an individual, for me it does not matter. What matters is there are unsolved problems which at a larger scale is very difficult for a government to come and solve it. But those unsolved problems are creating concerns for our society. So somebody is taking that unsolved problems and solving it, which is creating the value. And if that is rewarding, they are also sustaining that value creation. And in that way, the society is benefiting, as well as the individual who is doing it is also getting rewarded out of it. And this continues to grow. So that adding value is one of the main important thing, and outcomes of that is jobs are getting created, multiple things, but everything is starting from that creating the value. And if there are less entrepreneurs, there are less problems being solved. Okay, and entrepreneurship is not a designation. You do not become only an entrepreneur when you are starting a company. That is a definition all of us have given. But inside a company also, you are solving a problem. Like Google Maps is created by someone who is working in Google, but they took that initiative, they solved it, we are all using it. So that is called entrepreneurship. And I believe entrepreneurship is a very big opportunity. And today, and we have to blame both the sides, the company side and the people side. The companies have not created enough environment inside the company that we can create more entrepreneurs inside the company, because starting a company is tough. You need funding, HR, all of those things, but some of these things can also be created inside an environment, and the person can also own a good chunk of the company, and in that way, then in that collaboration, the chances of survival and excelling is far better. And why can't we do that? And there are many companies which have done it excellently, and many other companies are not good at that. So everyone can learn from it, and we can also create the culture of creating more companies within the company. And this will increase the potential of the individual. It will be much more rewarding for the company. It will also be rewarding for that individual, and more importantly, that problem is getting solved. So that can also be done. So whether you are an entrepreneur inside the company, or entrepreneur inside the company called entrepreneurship, or you are an individual person trying to solve a small problem, which is called solopreneurship, selfpreneur, or you are a person who is trying to create a larger organization, which generally is termed as enterprise. Definitions does not matter, but this is the starting of it, and it's very critical for any society. Unless we take up problems and solve it, the society won't grow. And if you are solving the problems, jobs will also be created, many people will be employed, and everyone is employed in a positive sense, and the standard of living is going better, the society is getting better. That's the whole perspective. So it's a very important thing for any country, any society, and etc. So that's the starting point that we will say. And then how big you want to build is a choice. And I was also fortunate to interact with many government initiation. So I teach at IFT. So in IFT, government initiative program comes up, where there are a lot of local entrepreneurs from, sometimes from the east, sometimes from the west, northeast. These people will come and they will share their problems, and people like us, we will interact with them and help them solve some of their problems. This is a government programs that they run. So I have interacted with the very ground level, small 1-person company to 3-people company, etc., doing achars or doing handicrafts and etc. And sometimes our conversation becomes very emotional as well, because for them it is as big as running a company. For them it's life. They put everything into it, and sometimes it's very difficult for me to handle them as well, because they get so emotional. Some people start crying and etc. Because that's a feeling. So it does not matter whether you're doing a small business, large business, but that you have to think as much as possible in the starting, if possible, that whether you want to run a large company or you want to do small, absolutely okay, choice is okay. But you cannot generally, you will get stuck. You start small and then you want to say that I want to become big, etc. And there sometimes your ideas are not big enough to take it to a larger scale, and you spend your 3 years, 5 years building it, better it, but then you're saying it's a niche market, I can't go beyond that. So you might be stuck there. But if your ambitions are never that, it's okay. I have seen some people doing excellent work in running just one restaurant. They only run one restaurant. They only run restaurant from morning till evening. They start at 11, they close at I think 9 or 10 or something like that. They don't cater after that. But their customer satisfaction is fantastic, their ratings is fantastic, their people are exceptionally happy, their people also get incentives and etc. So they say we don't want to do anything further than this. I don't need 2 branches, I'm getting money, I am happy, my people are happy, my customers are happy, I am happy. So I met the owner of that restaurant, and they had 7 chefs. So this restaurant is there in Vietnam. So they have 7 chefs inside the company coming from each part of India, and they make Indian food. And food is so fantastic, and their menu is so big. They said whoever is coming here, they miss their food, so we want to serve them their food. So if somebody is coming from South India, they want to eat their food. But as long as they are happy with it, fantastic. But if they say that okay, I want to scale it to 10 restaurants, if that is not feasible, then that's not feasible. Okay, so that's the case. But choice is yours. But try and see, make that choice in the starting in itself. Whatever initiatives you are creating, see the volume that is available and take a decision accordingly.